world's slowest computer with Planet bumper music on, and so that's too slow. I'm Marky Billson. I'm pretty fast. Tri-City Sports Now on 1420 WEMB Sports Radio, as well as online, www.jetbroadcasting.live, or you can watch it whenever you'd like, either live or archived on our Facebook page. Now, the most popular Facebook page of any sports radio station in the market. Yes, with more than 1,600 likes, WEMB leads the way. 1420 WEMB Sports Radio, and Tri-City Sports Now allows you to see this show whenever you would like. So that's the case. But you know what I do not want to... Actually, I don't care if I do see them. And all this talk about the disgusting image of Antonio Brown's feet. Heard this? I think that I have looked at... I've had my feet sometimes, after walking a long time, appear to be shredded wheat and look in worse situations than what Antonio Brown's feet were looking like. If you really want to go to it, now, you know, there's all this talk that Antonio Brown, new receiver for the Raiders, used to play for the Steelers, you know. And let's see here. He has suffered a cryotherapy injury. What is cryotherapy? Well, Ryan Clark, who used to be the teammate of Antonio Brown with the Steelers, will tell us now. Right after we stop the bumper music. What the heck is that? Right after we stop the bumper music. What the heck? All right, there we are. Now, let's go, and we are going to hear Ryan Clark. Thank you very much.
Cryo is like the new phase, right? It's a way that you can do it and do it much quicker. If you go there, they'll tell you can't have on anything wet, because if you have on something wet, you can get frostbite. They put things on your extremities, so you're supposed to have something on your hands and your feet. How Antonio Brown gets frostbite, and he shows us the bottom of his feet on Instagram, so I'm suspecting that he got it on the bottom of his feet. I'm actually not sure.
Yikes! I remember Dan Fouts suggesting in the Freezer Bowl, which was the 1981-82 AFC Championship game between Cincinnati and San Diego in Riverfront Stadium. And at the time, the country was going through this huge cold spell, and the game was played in negative 59 wind chills. And I heard Dan Fouts saying, I know that I've suffered frostbite in playing in this game. It became very, very uncomfortable, as you can imagine, for both the players and the fans. One of the reasons why I say build dome stadiums, folks. I mean, especially up north. You know, fans don't... It's 2019. Why are we being rained on? If you want to have a retractable dome, yeah, it's nice to be out in the open on a nice sunny day, but it rains a lot in Pittsburgh. It rains a lot in Cleveland. Cincinnati, come on here, it gets cold. Now, Ryan Clark did say that the injury to Antonio Brown is not structural, thankfully, but yes. Now comes a report that sprinter Justin Gatlin says that he suffered a similar injury and it took him months to get healthy. The Olympian famously got frostbite on both his feet and ankles after a mishap in the cryogenic chamber. This was 8 years ago. And he said that it hurt like hell. Now, the difference, I think, here is football and track. And I don't want to go out and suggest that Harriers are not tough. Certainly, they have more endurance than I do. However, there is the idea in football, you play in pain. So, yes, I mean, okay, we will go wrap up your feet and get on them. And all this. Anyway, I still, though, don't think that showing the pictures, I still think there's a little bit of whining. I mean, I still think that, you go and you take a long walk, and half the time your feet wind up looking like shredded wheat, right? And they look worse than what Antonio Brown had and all this. And so, and again, not to diminish Antonio. I mean, it's frostbite. That's very serious. Don't get me wrong. All this. But yes. So the Raiders camp begins and all this. And so who do the Raiders play? Let's see. Now, I know the Raiders, they can't possibly be playing at home, can they? No, the Raiders cannot be doing that. Actually, they will. They will be hosting the Rams at 8 p.m. on Saturday. I may actually want to see that. I know that a lot of Vols fans have gotten schadenfreude over Nate Peterman. Now, Josh Dobbs is starting for the Steelers tomorrow against the Buccaneers. But there stands the chance that Dobbs could be a third stringer and Peterman a second. You know, everybody loses to Florida. Did Peterman really show any worse? I mean, I know he was awful in 2014, but so was Peyton Manning in 1996. Are you comparing Nate Peterman to Peyton Manning? Please. It's an example, okay? You want to do that? I mean, fine. I'm just saying, Tennessee always loses to Florida. You really want to just, and I mean, here, you hate Butch Jones. You despise Butch Jones. Nobody likes Butch Jones. I'm the guy who didn't like Butch Jones. First, I said he was a coach who couldn't count to 14. I was proven right. I told you all this. And what happens? He decides on Josh Dobbs. It does look like Peterman might be number 2 for the Raiders and Dobbs number 3 for the Steelers. That is a definite chance. And, you know what? If that happens, why don't we spin it this way? Just another reason to hate Butch Jones. Boy, did he put Peterman in a position to fail. Boy, oh boy, what would he have done if he had stayed with him? Peterman beat the Clemson Tigers, put 43 points on the board when they won the national title. Dobbs lost to Alabama 49-10 that year. They were number 2. Regardless, tomorrow against the Buccaneers, I think Dobbs probably is playing. Well, I say that. I remember watching the Steelers and Landry Jones go like 30-odd drives without a single score, and they kept him around. But the thing is, Devlin Hodges, yes, from Samford, really showing the mini camp up there in Latrobe, PA with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He is showing that maybe he's good enough to play in the NFL. Well, why wouldn't he be? Steve McNair certainly was. And all Hodges did was break all of his records in a tougher conference. I know the SoCon is down, but it's better than the one McNair played in at Alcorn State. Because it's one thing to take on Wofford, and it's another thing to take on Mississippi Valley State when they don't have Jerry Rice. So, just saying right there. I've been remiss in telling you about a baseball story here. Chris Davis, the man with the let's see here, batting average of that makes Mario Mendoza look like Rod Carew. Okay. He had it out with his manager, Brandon Hyde of the Baltimore Orioles. Man, Brandon Hyde is the manager of the Baltimore Orioles. Maybe that's one of the reasons why Earl Weaver, he isn't, but he removed Chris Davis from a game. Davis didn't like it. The Orioles lost for the 15th straight time at home to the Yankees. They're falling apart. And here's what Brandon Hyde had to say about a dugout altercation that was experienced yesterday in a rout by the Yankees against the Orioles. Nothing going right. And his altercation with Chris Davis.
No, I took him out of the game. Yeah, we had words, and I took him out of the game. So, like I said, this is, me and Chris have a good relationship, and these things happen in competitive environments, and it was something that'll pass, and we'll get through it. But it was just unfortunate it happened in the dugout.
Shades of Billy Martin and Reggie Jackson. Well, the one difference here is that the Yankees back then won. Brandon Hyde, here's the other thing that he said about his altercation yesterday with Chris Davis. If you saw it, if you didn't, if you heard about it, and all that. Look, I'm going to bet that neither Hyde nor Davis are going to be in an Orioles uniform next year. Why would you keep them around?
Just a disagreement that we had in the dugout. What was said and what we talked about, I'm not going to get into, is we're going to keep it in-house, and it's private. But, yeah, it's just, something that happens sometimes, and frustration boils over a little bit when not playing our best baseball last couple games, and unfortunately, I'm embarrassed that it was caught on camera and people had to see it, but sometimes those things happen.
Sometimes they do. Talking a little bit about how Sports Illustrated's college football annual, or their college football, maybe not their annual, but their annual college football issue came out. They picked an Alabama #1. It's been the chic pick to pick Clemson to win their third national title in 4 years because of Trevor Lawrence. However, Nick Saban, well, he's actually got a comment here. And so he wants to talk about turning the page from getting blown out by 4 touchdowns to Clemson in last year's national title game.
We've always had a relentless pursuit of excellence around here in terms of what we try to accomplish and what we try to do. But if you don't do things right all the time at a high standard, you watch somebody else celebrate. So that's something that our players have to make a commitment to in terms of what they want to do, what they want to accomplish, and what kind of team they want to be.
It didn't say a whole lot there, typical Nick Saban, not a whole lot. He's got something that self-discipline is important. I'm not going to play that because it's probably important for Clemson to have self-discipline because they got flagged for 8 secondary NCAA violations. Probably isn't going to be a whole big deal, but this was during a year-long period from July of last year through the past June, and the athletic department at Clemson released this report. None of the violations were considered major, so it's not going to be like 1981 and, a guy who was going to go to Tennessee and then winds up never playing college football, gets $500 or $1,000 from a booster, like was reported in all this. The names of the guilty parties, be they athletes, coaches, or staffers, were not named in the summary provided to the Associated Press from Clemson. Isn't that convenient? The football violations included a homeowner paying a player above the going rate for work around the home on 3 separate occasions. What does that mean? I mean, if he pays him $15 an hour, or $20 an hour, or is it $1,000 an hour? That's what I want to know. 2 violations involve players on social media in a promotional capacity. Oh, horrors. You have Florida and Tennessee going back and forth, and, what's that? Others were committed by the football staffers, included reimbursing an athlete for ground transportation expenses above the school's mileage rate. Yeah, that's horrible, huh? The school also publicized the signing of a football recruit before he had signed with the program. That's why, schools just love rivals, all this. And, of course, that's their fault. It's not rivals or 24/7. Another was for the football staff impermissibly mailing out a printed questionnaire to 221 prospects about life skills programming before September 1st of their junior years in high school. Yeah, these really don't sound all that bad. The strangest one, though, came when staffers wrongly used confetti as part of a photo shoot that took place in a student-athlete's official visit. Guys, I keep saying I want the Big 5 conferences to break away when you are saying, no, there was confetti in your photo shoot. Violation! Violation! What is that? Come on! That's just a little bit ridiculous. All right, now, and I mean, this is... So, yeah, Clemson, they're not going to get into really any trouble. I mean, come on. By the way, there were secondary violations all the way around for Clemson. Who knows? Maybe confetti was used for the volleyball team, men's soccer, and men's and women's tennis because they got into trouble for stuff like that, too. Ugh. All right. I don't think it's really going to have much of an impact. I do have an impact, and tomorrow we'll have an impact with Josh Brown talking about the Atlanta Braves. He has a podcast, Knockahoma Nation. Then we'll talk to Tony Page of WFAN about the state of boxing today and his own career as he make a reunion. Haven't talked to him in 22 years. It's Tri-City, actually 23 now that I think about it. Tri-City Sports Now. Colin Coward is next.
WEMB